I would like to call the Carson City Audit Committee to order. Brianna, can I have a roll call, please?
Chair Schutte,
Here.
Vice Chair Lambin, Member Duke,
Here.
Member Scalia, Member Stack.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Great, thank you. Next, we have public comment. The public is invited at this time to comment on and discuss any topic that is relevant to or within the authority of this public body. Is there any public comment? No? Okay. Agenda item 4 for possible action, approval of minutes, and this would be for March 12th, 2025. Did everybody have a chance to read and review the minutes? Are there any corrections, changes? All right. Can I have
I would move that, David Lampin, I would move that we approve the minutes.
Oh, whoops.
This is David Lampin, I would move that we approve the minutes from March 12th.
Thank you.
Roylene Stack, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved. Agenda item 5 for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding the monitoring, review, and closure of previous internal audit findings and/or recommendations included in the audit findings tracking report, and a recommendation of the board to the Board of Supervisors to close completed findings and/or recommendations. Sherry, it's all
Good
yours.
morning.
Good morning. or
Afternoon. Sorry, it is afternoon. It seemed like a quick morning. So I do have a couple items that I'm going to request or recommend closure on. The first one that is due is in the IT vulnerability report. Community Development gave themselves a little more time for their findings. So if you go to the IT vulnerability, that first item, this audit was done in April of 2022. And this first item is about updating old software. And so the last software that really needs to be updated is the Tiburon, which is all of our dispatch, it's the CAD system. And so that we have we have gone out to bid and we've picked a vendor. And so we are moving forward with Tyler Munis. Actually, it might not be Munis, it might be Tyler something else. But it is the Tyler product that we're moving forward with to implement that CAD system. So it is a 12 to 18 month process to implement that. So we will have to use the old system for a little bit longer. I wanted to give you the opportunity to close this item today, or we can wait another 12 to 18 months. It's really up to you guys.
All right, are there any questions, thoughts, discussion regarding this? Are there concerns about closing before the full upgrade and replacement is installed? Is there a problem associated with closing prior to the 18 months?
Frank is still here. He can let you know if there's any vulnerabilities that he sees. I don't.
Thank you, Frank.
Yep.
Good afternoon, Frank Cabela, CIO, for the record. So currently, with the new CAD system in Tyler, we're doing the discovery. There's a migration component, and of course, we have to run these parallel until we have a full migration. So I feel there shouldn't be a problem in this, with the 12 to 18-month mark. We should be able to complete that at least at a good 90%. We still have a lot of modules we have to do and everything else before we actually turn off the Tiburon system. But we should keep that on just in case there's a failover during the migration process. Questions? Currently, there are no vulnerabilities known at this time.
Okay. So closing it won't impact that?
No.
All right, are there any questions or? Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. And next.
Okay, so next is the take-home vehicle assessment. The city manager has been working very hard and has all of those items addressed and closed at this point. There are 5 of them, all related to the take-home vehicle, a lot of policy-driven and procedures, and all of those have been completed. So we are recommending to close all of them.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions associated with this? Concerns, thoughts? So no?
Okay, the
Okay.
last item is on the payroll processing assessment. I'm not asking to close this. I'm just asking for a little more time with the budget and the legislative session. We were a little too aggressive thinking we could finish it by 4:30. So we do have the policy or the general guidelines outlining the pay codes. We have that written up and I have reviewed it, but it hasn't been put into policy tech yet and through that review process. So I'm asking for a little more time to get it through the review process.
I loved what you wrote about, a little optimistic. It's always good to
Yeah.
use that word.
We really thought we could, bust it out and get it done. And when it's done, we just have to get it through the process, which takes a
Okay.
little longer.
Are you seeing any potential hiccups or difficulties with the process?
No, we've created general guidelines as requested by the auditors. So, yeah.
Awesome. Are there any questions, concerns, thoughts? All right.
That's all I had for you today.
Okay, so with that, would someone like to make a motion?
Go ahead and make a motion.
Thank you.
I move to recommend to the Board of Supervisors closing the items discussed based on the correction of findings and recommendations included in the audit findings tracking report.
Is there a second?
I would second the motion.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no opposition, so it passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 5B for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding a report prepared by the Carson City Internal Auditor, Ide Bailey, LLP, for the fiscal year 2025 audit work program concerning the Carson City Purchasing and Contract Management Review, including findings and recommendations. Sherry.
Thank you. And I'm actually going to turn this over to either Kathy or Audrey to go over the recommendations from their little audit.
All right. Thank you, Sherry, and thank you, members of the Audit Committee. I will be presenting the results of the Purchasing and Contracts Management Review, which was identified as an internal audit risk area in the previous risk assessment. The objective of the Purchasing and Contract Management Review was to identify and evaluate the effectiveness of controls and oversight in the contract administration process. Specifically, we evaluated whether the city's procurement process is aligned with established policies and procedures. We assessed whether internal controls are in place to ensure vendors are meeting the terms of their contracts and invoices are properly processed. And we also identified opportunities to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the city's contract monitoring process. The scope of our engagement was from June 30th, 2024 to current operations. Our assessment identified 2 findings and 1 observation, each with accompanying recommendations. The first finding relates to professional services contracts. While Nevada law exempts professional services from competitive bidding, the city has chosen to require at least 3 informal proposals for professional services contracts exceeding $25,000 to promote transparency and fairness. During our audit, we found 5 contracts that did not include this required documentation. This may stem from inconsistent awareness or understanding of the policy. Although the contracts themselves may be legally permissible, bypassing the city's internal procurement process can diminish accountability and public trust. To address this, we recommend providing a refresher training for departments on proposal requirements, documenting justification when proposals are not feasible, and conducting periodic compliance reviews to ensure consistent application of the policy. The next finding is regarding notification for expiring contracts and highlights an opportunity to improve contract management through automation. Currently, the city tracks contract expiration dates using a manually maintained contract register, and there are no automated alerts to notify departments of upcoming deadlines. Relying solely on manual tracking increases the chance that contract renewals or closures are missed, especially when staff are unavailable or turnover exists. Introducing automation will significantly reduce the risk of oversight and strengthen the city's ability to manage contracts proactively. Best practices recommend automating critical control activities when possible, and in this case, we recommend configuring Munis to generate expiration alerts. And if that's not feasible in the near term, automated Outlook calendar notifications or email reminders based on contract register data will be advisable. Adopting automated alerts will improve efficiency, support compliance, and reduce the risk of service interruptions or unauthorized contract extensions. And our third and final topic is an observation and relates to the retention and accessibility of contract documentation. During a review, we found that older contract files were not consistently saved to the city's shared drive or uploaded to Munis. While we observed that the city has improved its practices with more recent contracts and after migrating to Munis, the lack of a formal policy has led to inconsistent documentation standards across departments. This presents a risk to continuity and oversight, especially during staff turnover or absence. Best practices emphasize the importance of maintaining centralized and complete documentation for transparency, accountability, and operational efficiency. We recommend that the city formalize a policy requiring departments to save all contract-related documentation in both Munis and a designated shared drive. This, coupled with staff training and periodic spot checking, will help ensure documentation practices are consistently followed. Management is in agreement with the recommendations and provided detailed responses to address the identified risks, and that concludes our briefing of the Purchasing and Contract Management Review. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this briefing, and we would also like to thank Carol, the Purchasing and Contract Administrator, for her openness and support throughout the engagement, and of course to Sherry. And I now turn it over to the Audit Committee for questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Are there any questions? Yes.
Hi, on the professional services, the lack of 3 bids, could that have some kind of tie into the fact that locally you may not have 3 providers?
I should let Carol take this because she deals more closely with the departments.
Yeah, I mean, I know sometimes when you try to keep it local because of accessibility, you may
Sure.
not have 3 providers.
Oh, yeah, well, that is a problem a lot here in Carson, but Carol Akers,
Uh-huh.
contracts and purchasing. And the reason, well, because technically some of the professional services are exempt through NRS as well. But our policy still stated that anything over 25 still had to have the quotes. So we're currently updating our purchasing policy to remove that. The only time that we really go out for solicitations, as far as for professional services would be federal, because we are required, if it's
Right.
over 25, to solicit a formal, but that's a formal process. So technically, the 3 quotes would be an informal process. But a lot of the time with professional services, you can't request pricing for
Right.
like engineering, architects, like the design, and that's the majority of what goes out
Yeah, they have to
out
see
to
the
bid.
project.
So the only other thing that Public Works does is that every 2 years, they do that SOQ list
Right,
with, I mean, tons of different trades, and some of those are professional services. So they do kind of solicit at least their qualifications that they review that, and then if they make it, then they make it onto their on-call listing.
So this is kind of a, where the uniform guidance for grants don't correlate with our NRS.
right.
Because those professional services, our NRS requires us to figure out qualifications first and then negotiate prices. So we can't, they won't give us bids until we do the qualification, which is why we have the list.
Mhm.
And then, so we are in compliance with all the standards. It's just that we might not have 3 quotes as required per our policy because of the way the NRS and the uniform
Right.
guidance play together. So what we're planning on doing is fixing our policy to state what
fit.
we're actually doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions? That was my question as well, because I know with the qualified, or the professional services, there is that list, and who, who is on the list has already been determined to be qualified. And there is also, they've been working on projects. And so, okay, that was my question. And my question to you, Kathy, is how do we align this? And so it's about changing the policy. Okay, and being clear, though, really on the why behind it, and the importance of the update and the process. Awesome, thank you. No other questions on that? Okay. Then next,
So I think we need an approval of the
Oh,
report.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll go ahead and I move to approve the report and direct staff to work on the recommendations as discussed.
thank you. Is there a second?
If I could breathe.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It passes. Item 5C. Is that correct?
Yes.
Discussion regarding fiscal year 2025 audit work program update and fraud, waste, and abuse hotline activity. Sherry?
Yeah, again, I'm going to pass this on to Audrey for the wrap-up of the 2025 audit work program.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you, Audit Committee members and Chair, for being here today. This will be the fourth time that we've met this fiscal year, and I'm proud to bring you the update of the activities that we performed and what we've accomplished. So to start, I'll walk through the audits and the related activities that we've completed as part of this year's fiscal audit plan. The first one was the take-home vehicle assessment, which provided us insights into cost control and policy alignment for city-owned vehicle usage. The second one was payroll processing audit that validated internal controls over payroll processing, where we were able to see the operations operating effectively and ensuring both accuracy and completeness of the payroll data. The third one was the firefighter study and a glimpse into the city's payroll process and wow, just a large amount of respect for the data and the information that goes into those calculations. So the work that was performed there supported the payroll accuracy and compliance for the firefighters. The fourth and final one for this fiscal year is the review of the purchasing and contracts management, which Kathy just read out. And that helped identify opportunities for strengthening transparency and control over vendor selection and contract documentation. Now, these audits performed did help us fulfill our obligations to the audit committee and city leadership. But more importantly, I feel that the value is ensuring that the taxpayer dollars are being managed responsibly and services are delivered efficiently. And we can say that city operations remain transparent and accountable. In addition to these audits, we also completed the fiscal year 2026 risk assessment update, which serves as the foundation for developing next year's audit plan. And we'll discuss that, I think, following this. There were also two activities that we consider ongoing. And the first one is the fraud, waste, and abuse hotline monitoring. We continue to track and support the resolution of complaints as they come in, which the city hasn't had any reported cases since we last met in March earlier this year. The second area is follow-up, where upon request, we evaluate the implementation status of prior audit recommendations to ensure risks have been appropriately addressed. In terms of budget, the budget for fiscal year 2025 was $110,000, which covered the 4 audits mentioned, the risk assessment update, and the 2 ongoing activities. I'm proud to say that we are on target. We were right on target, which we believe reflects efficient use of resources while still maintaining broad audit coverage. That does conclude the fiscal year 2025 internal audit status update, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the completed audits or ongoing activities.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No? All right. Thank you, Audrey. Then agenda item 5D for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding the annual risk assessment and a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors for the internal audit work program for fiscal year 2026, which may include but is not limited to credit card payment purchase compliance, public guardian asset management, capital asset accounting, or any other internal audit. So Sherry.
Thank you. If you'll remember at the last meeting, we had a discussion about doing a homelessness type audit. And I found out when we went back to the office that we just did an ordinance to correct that. And so typically when we do an ordinance or any kind of new policy, we want to give it some time to see if it's working correctly before we send the auditors in. So instead of doing that, and we can discuss any kind of program you want, but instead of doing that, we thought looking at capital asset accounting would be a good audit. I looked back and we did a capital projects audit back in 2018, but we've never actually done a capital asset audit. So I thought that might be a fit in there instead of the homelessness audit.
Discussion, thoughts?
I do apologize for changing gears and not remembering that that ordinance had just been passed, so I do apologize.
Well, it makes sense to wait in light of the ordinance being passed. So I think that was a good call. Are there any? Yes, thank you.
No, this is just more of a comment. So never, I mean, never in your, never to your knowledge, capital asset audit has been done? Or is it like never, ever, ever?
Well, okay, so every year our external auditors do pick a sample and they look at our capital assets, of course. That's part of our external auditor processes to look at additions. However, as far as an internal control procedure, since this committee was established in 2012, we've never done an internal audit over our capital asset additions and deletions in our process.
Good choice.
So, I mean, I'm really open to discussion. I just wanted to have something to throw at you guys in case I didn't want you guys to have to come up with it at the last minute. So, so we worked to come up with something for you.
I think it's a good choice as well. I had gone back to read past minutes, as it seems like our public guardian, that has come up several times, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, kind of like now with the homeless situation, we had a new people, and so we had postponed.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to say that that's why we keep hearing about public guardian. So we just waited, and now that there's a little bit of time and things, routine has been established, so it's a good time, in my opinion. Okay. Well, if there is no discussion, and if everybody agrees with these recommendations and they, add up to, we can cover it with the 110,000 and actually have a little bit of change. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion. I move to recommend to the Board of Supervisors the fiscal year 2026 internal audit work program as discussed.
Is there a second?
I would second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
No one has opposed. All right, then that has been passed. So there we go. That will be on. We look forward to finding out more and coming up with a good plan. Agenda item 5E for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding agreed upon procedures for three audit internal audit programs: the credit card payment purchase compliance, the public guardian asset management, and capital asset accounting, suggested by the Carson City Internal Auditor, Eide Bailey, LLP, for the fiscal year 2026 audit work program. Sherry.
Thank you. So we will take these to the board for final approval the first meeting in July. However, because this board only meets every 3 months, we like to at least get the agreed upon procedures for a couple of programs approved up front, so they don't have to wait until we meet next. They have a jumping off point and can start their procedures. So that's what we've given you today. Instead of just one, though, we gave all three because we weren't sure which ones would go through. So you do have three agreed upon procedures here for the three internal audits that we just approved to recommend to the board. Now, if the board does not approve our audit program, or they approve only one of the few audits and we have to come back, then they would still have a jumping off point with one of the two that we would look at today. We would just have to discuss what the board didn't like. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, so I trust that everybody reviewed these lists. And is there anything in any of the three outlines that you would like change, that you feel is not an appropriate fit, that something is being missed? No? Okay. All right.
I know this is the opportunity to make sure the auditor's going in the right direction for this stuff. So if you,
So the acquisition, capitalization, depreciation, disposal of our assets. All right.
I was comfortable with everything I've read through this.
Okay.
I thought they did it,
Great.
they were pretty detailed in what they were proposing, and it was understandable.
okay, great.
All right. Well done.
All
Then
right.
is there, can I have a motion, please?
And I would move that we accept the proposal and move forward with it.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And there's no one opposed. Okay, then, that passes. 5E. Then agenda item 5F for discussion only, consideration of dates for the next meeting of the Carson City Audit Committee.
So I'm going to toss this to Audrey for a second. You have kind of, unless something goes wrong at the Board of Supervisors, I think you've got kind of marching orders. Do you know like a time frame when your first audit could be ready for review?
Yeah, if we were to say kick off the credit card processing, we'd be able to deliver that one earlier than the other two, only because it is our IT team along with our internal audit team would run in tandem to get that completed. And I believe we'd get that one finished by October, the first or second week of October. We'd be ready to deliver that. July, August, September. Yeah.
Okay. Our auditors are starting that second week of October. So can I,
Ooh.
yeah, can I propose maybe the third week of October?
That third week works for us.
The 20th, maybe on the 21st or 22nd of October? It's a Tuesday or a Wednesday? Does that work for
Yes, we're
everybody?
available on both of those days.
Okay, thank you.
How would the 20th, that Monday, work?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Does that work for you?
It does.
Audrey?
On Odd Bailey side, it does work for us.
Okay. Does that work for everyone else? Monday, the 20th? Pardon? Okay.
Okay,
All right, then Monday, the 20th at 1:30?
1:30. Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. All right, then, agenda item 6, public comment. The public is invited at this time to comment on any matter not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. I'm not seeing public, but just in case there's someone out there. All righty. Well then, we will adjourn Thank you, everyone, and thanks for the reports and for the very thorough recommendations and outline of our next 3 projects. So much appreciated.